First and foremost, I'm a product of this town. My parents, Ted and Margaret Novicki, moved from New Haven to Orange in 1951 and raised a family here with 4 kids, including me. I was brought home from St. Raphael's Hospital to 51 Center Road Circle in Orange, where I grew up for the next 18 years of my life. I went to Muriel Tracy Grammar School, which was a grammar school and not just a kindergarten. Awesome school. I went to the short-lived Holy Infant Junior High School, which I think only lasted about 3 or 4 years, but I went there and that was a lovely school as well. And then I went to Laurelton Hall to high school. And then the very first time I left Orange was to go to university. And I went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., where I studied international politics and got my degree in international politics from the School of Foreign Service. Then I moved to New York City, where I went to Columbia University and got a master's in international affairs as well. And then I started on my career. And my career, obviously, with that background, was a very international career. I was first a journalist and an editor, and I traveled all over Africa, reporting about political developments in Africa. And then I started working for the UN. And 22 years later, I retired from the UN just in May, the end of May 2017. My last post at UN headquarters was heading strategic communications for the UN at UN headquarters in New York, where I managed our information offices. We have 63 around the world. And I also managed the UN's communications campaigns on sort of all the issues that the UN is seized with, everything from peacekeeping to sustainable development to gender empowerment to you name it. So also, I worked for 10 years for the UN in Africa. And I lived in 4 different, I and my family, and my son is here, but I won't point him out because he'll be really mad at me. But I and my family lived in 4 different African countries, 2 that were with new democracies, South Africa after apartheid, and Ghana after the post-colonial period. And then I also served in 2 countries that were torn by civil war, Sierra Leone and Liberia. And I worked with the UN's peacekeeping force in those 2 countries to bring peace to those 2 countries, which we did achieve. So over those years of my experience in Africa, more than 10 years, I really learned a lot about what we in this country, the values and the beliefs that we hold dear in this country, and what it means in countries where those beliefs are absent. I saw the very real consequences in people's lives of when democratic values are not respected, when human rights are not respected. So that instilled in me a strong belief well, I've always had it, but it instilled in me even more the belief in public service. And so all my life has sort of been geared around public service. In 2013, I moved back to Orange with my family after all those years away with my husband and my son. And we moved back to Orange because Orange for us is really home. It really is home. My family still retains a strong presence in this town. My parents have passed on, but I have 2 brothers in this town who raised their families here and who still live here. And I have some of the younger generation is also moving to Orange now. So the Novicki family continues to grow in Orange. Throughout my career, as I said, I was really motivated by a desire to make a contribution, whether it was a big or a small contribution, whatever contribution I could make to social justice in the world. And in committing myself to public service, I wanted to stand for and spread the ideals that, as I said, that make this country great. Freedom, equality, respect for human rights, and our democratic birthright, where everybody has a voice, and anyone, including me, including all of you, can get involved and make a difference. So when I left the UN this year, I thought, well, I can't leave that commitment because that commitment is really who I am as a person. I can't give it up and just say, okay, I'm retired now and forget about it. It's really in my genes, it's part of me. So I started looking around about what could I do in my retirement that would give me that same level of fulfillment and would enable me to continue my commitment to public service. And lo and behold, I met Jody. And that was a really fortuitous and serendipitous meeting, I want to say, and I feel very fortunate that I had that opportunity. So that is what really attracted me to wanting to run for first selectwoman of Orange. And I've always heard this sort of call to action in my head. You have to do something, you got to do something, you got to do what you can to contribute. And so now I want to bring that commitment that I feel and the leadership skills that I've developed over my long career, and also my management experience, of which I have quite a lot, home here to Orange, to make this beautiful town even better, and to make it a great place, not only for people to raise their families, but also for many of us to retire in. For me also, it's a really motivating time in our country's history. I think if the last election taught us anything, it's that everybody really has to step up to the plate and get involved. Whether it's just voting, you've got to vote, you've got to vote, you've heard it already, everybody has got to vote, and we're really going to go out there and shake people to get them to vote. You've got to vote, you've got to let your voice be heard, and if you can do more than just vote, then just do it. And that's what I'm trying to do. So, and especially we women, I want to say also. I think, you know, I really feel that it's really time for women to get much more actively involved in politics in this country. Our levels are very low, average about 20% in Congress, I think. You know, there's so much room for us to do so much more. But you got to be in it to win it. So you got to step forward. It's kind of scary. I feel a little scared myself, but I'm ready to go. And I really want to do it, and I would be honored and tremendously privileged to be able to be first selectwoman of Orange. I love this town. My blood runs orange, and I thank you for your support. And I'm going to be, you know, depending on all of you for your support, your advice, your wisdom, your experience, and everything, so that we can have a woman in the first select women's office. Thank you.